Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today we've got a really interesting combination. It's a new shell and a pretty new choke to the channel that we've only tested once before, but we've seen some really impressive results through it. And I've had a couple of you guys requesting to see these shells, and one of you said, hey, test them through this choke. So I had to bring them out here and see what they could actually do, because there's a chance that they give us a really nice looking pattern. But as for the shells I've got today, I brought out some of these, the Browning 20 gauge TSS shells. They are a 20 gauge 3-inch 1.5 ounce payload of TSS 7 and 9 shot blend, moving about 1200 feet per second. Like I just mentioned, I've had a number of you guys request these shells to be tested, and I've wanted to try them as well to see what they could do. I've heard good things about them, especially in this 7 and 9 shot blend, and I believe a lot of the Browning stuff is also made by Winchester, and we know that Winchester can make some very nice turkey shells, and their TSS loads have been very good as well. So we'll see how these actually perform. But as for the setup we're going to run those through, I brought out my Stevens 301 20 gauge, got a 26-inch barrel on it, but for the choke, we've got an Avian-X Crusher 565 constriction. We tested this choke a week or two ago now, and it gave us some very impressive results with, I believe it was the Rocky Ridge shells that we tried through it, but I had one of you guys want to see this exact combination, and I think it should be a pretty decent performer if those Browning shells are actually any good. So we'll see what we can get from it. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how the Browning 20 gauge TSS 7 and 9 blend can do through the 301 and the Avian-X 565. All right, that shell gave us 1234 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1200. So from that 26-inch barrel plus a little bit of choke out the end, we saw just above that boss claim. So I'd say we're pretty much exactly where we're supposed to be here. So looking good for a velocity, but how did they actually pattern down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. All right, so now we're down here at our 40-yard target, and I gotta say, we got a pretty nice pattern down here. Now, right off the bat, yep, we definitely were low on that target, without a doubt. This is the second time we've tested that Avian-X choke, and the last time we did it, it was the exact same placement on the paper here, so that choke just shoots low. But that's a perfect example of why you always test the shell and choke combo that you want to hunt with before you take it out into the woods, because different shells and chokes will affect your point of impact. Either way, we saw a very nice looking pattern here. We've got a nice hot core down here with really no major voids or anything in there to be concerned with at all. It's a little bit more of a broad spread right there rather than just a super tight hot baseball looking core. So I really like that for a hunting pattern. It gives you a little more leeway to work with while still having a bunch of pellets through your core. And you guys won't ever be able to tell this on camera, but it is a pretty even spread of the 7s and 9s throughout there. So you would absolutely hit a bird with both pellet sizes, no doubt about it. Now around the edges, we really don't even pick up any voids until we get right on the very outskirt edges. There's a few of them, but that really would not affect the pattern at all. As far as flyers go, we might have a couple down there at the very bottom and maybe just a couple off this top right edge over here, but nothing on the entire top half of the turkey paper. So really, you don't have a ton of flyers to be concerned with either in that pattern. That's just a really solid hunting pattern there all day long. It's absolutely 40-yard capable, and with the overall size and how many pellets you have through your core, you could absolutely push that to 50 yards and still be just fine. And since you do have 7-shot TSS in here, those will give you a little bit more range if you needed it. As long as your pattern holds up out there at 55 yards or so, you would have the energy to get it done with those kind of pellets. So yeah, definitely not a whole lot to complain about there at all. It's not the tightest pattern we've seen, but I really don't think we need it any tighter than that. But I will go ahead and throw up a 10-inch circle here in editing through the core so you guys can see what it actually looks like as well, because it's a very nice and uniform pattern across the board there, really. So I gotta say, looks pretty good so far. And if these Browning shells are actually made by Winchester, I would say that's pretty realistic from what we've seen from their TSS shells as well. And for a 7 and 9 shot blend, I'd say that's a very nice performance. Sometimes blend shells can be a little picky on what they really like as far as chokes go and stuff, but this one, very solid starting point. Maybe with a little bit different of a choke, 562, 560, something like that constriction. We might be able to tighten it up a little bit for those people that want a super screaming tight pattern, but hey, that is a very nice, very solid starting point to work off of. So no complaints from me on this one. I'll take that all day long. And here's the wad from that shell, and like I kind of suspected, it looks very much like your typical Winchester type of stuff here. It's the same look, the same shape, the same material, and it even has the little styrofoam piece down in the bottom there like a herder shell would. So maybe these are just a herder shell that's blended with some 7-shot in there. Herders is also made by Winchester, and these shells do look a lot and perform a lot like those do, so maybe that's exactly what they are. I don't know, but the wad looks very much normal. Nothing out of the ordinary to see, no major damage or anything, so looks good here. All right, y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? I'd say pretty solid performance overall. Not really anything big to complain about there. I'd call that a really nice huntable pattern. I wouldn't be scared to take that out any day of the week. You're gonna be good at 40 yards. It's gonna give you a little more leeway at 25 as well, since it is a little bit more of a broad pattern, but you can easily push that to 50 yards and still be just fine as well. So really, not a whole lot to complain about or argue about there. You've got 7s and 9s in there, so if you needed to, and your pattern could hold up, you could push that past 50 yards and still be confident in it. So I'd say that was a pretty good combination right there. And for a starting point, the first of these Browning shells that we've tested in 20 gauge, that is a very nice performance right there. So we're definitely off to a good start. And that Avian-X choke has also been a lights out performer so far as well. So I've been pretty impressed with that combination overall with that choke in that 301. So looking very nice here today, but leave all your thoughts down below in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Browning 20 gauge shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Would you hunt with that pattern or that combination? And what other chokes or shell combos do you want to see us try with either those Browning loads or that Avian-X 565 choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.